Too late.
Oh, hi.
Not there yet. Almost. We're live now.
I know.
Okay, so hello everyone, and welcome to day 27 of Freedom from Anxiety in Uncertain Times. So we're nearly there, 3 more days after today. So I have the lovely Laura with me again today, and we were just having a quick chat before coming on live about what we might talk about today. And it occurred to me that everything that we've spoken about here over the last month has been pointing us in the direction of everything that we have going for us, all of the inner resources that we have available to us that we can tap into that we had just forgotten about. And over the course of the month, we've talked about the nature of thought, the nature of anxiety, the nature of lots of different things. But the change happens through insight. And I've kept saying, hi Rose, I've kept saying throughout the last few weeks that when things change, it's not up to us to do something to make the change, that looking in this direction is the catalyst for the change to happen. So I just thought it might be interesting for us to explore today, Laura, the nature of insights.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's a good how does the change happen?
Well, that's the mystery, isn't it? Because we don't know. Like, if you look back on your life, you've been having insights all your life, right? It's when we're born and we're babies, we have suddenly an insight at one stage that, oh, this arm that I'm wiggling in front of me is connected to my body. And that's an insight, right? And then we have insights that suddenly something clicks and we can ride a bike. We have insights in terms of watching people and learning how to do things like learning to walk. And so insights are built into that real-time, intelligent, responsive energy that we have, all of us have. So it's nothing that we are doing in the personal thinking to make insights happen.
No.
And it's in the word, right? Insights.
Insight.
Within. Yeah. It's sights within. It's not. You can't hurry insights out by trying to organize your external environment or learning more about this understanding and saying to yourself when something happens, oh, it's just my thinking, and then waiting for the insight, or maybe thinking that is the insight. It's such a subtle shift, or it can be really actually, wow, okay. It's different for everybody.
Yeah, and it can be tiny or it can be huge.
yeah. And it's often, I find, it's often on reflection that I look back and think, wow, that's changed in my life. I had an insight around that, but I wasn't necessarily conscious of it, but it moved me in a direction that I wouldn't normally have gone in.
Yeah. And, I think a good example, Laura, is, I said on a few times over the last couple of weeks that I couldn't have done this a couple of years ago. I couldn't have shown up in this way and be here having these lovely conversations. And it's been a beautiful month. But I suppose that somewhere along the way, I saw that every time I go to do something that I haven't done before, I get nervous.
You get nervous, did you say?
Get nervous.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I used to think that meant don't do it, or it's not for you. And I don't know what I saw exactly along the way, but I know that now, like you were saying, oh, I'm just feeling my thinking, or it's my thinking that's making me feel nervous, isn't helpful at all, really, in the moment. But when I understand where the feelings are coming from and I can interpret them a little bit differently, then they don't look as real and solid. And there can be other possibilities other than the first thing that comes into my head about what they mean. So now it's like, I'm nervous because I won't be in control. Because I don't know if people are going to like this. I don't know if people are going to resonate. I don't know if they'll be impacted or if they'll be thinking it's a crock of bull or whatever. So that's, every time I go into that unknown, I feel that. But somewhere along the way, it went from stopping me to not stopping me.
Yeah, and I'd like to think maybe it's when you say that, there's, for me, there's less of identification of this idea of myself, this, which is the ego, right? The personal mind, which has to be protected, which is what that those nerves are, right? It's this fear of I don't want to be seen because it will mean X, Y, Z. I don't want to be like I don't want people to listen to me because I don't want to be judged in some way. And that I don't want to be is all made up. Like this image of who we are is thought created, so it can't be truth. It's not the true essence of who we really are. And so yeah, I think the more that, and you're probably finding it, you look in this direction, is that there's a space that's been created that allows like for a movement to be like, I don't know, for you to move in a direction which you didn't know wasn't available to you. Yeah.
And the misidentification is huge, because the less of I that's going on, the easier life is. That misidentification is huge. And you're right, because now when those feelings of nervousness come, whether it's Facebook Lives or anything else, I can be more comfortable with that uncomfortable feeling because it's not personal anymore.
Well, it's and also exactly, it's not personal, and it's an invitation for me to look at what I'm taking so personally. And that's what, and I see it as like, I got nervous just before we got on here, and you're like, we're going to talk about insight, and I went into my head and oh God, what do I know about insight? And it was, and that feeling, and I caught myself and I went, how interesting that has brought that feeling up. And what is it that I have created this illusion of myself that is pushing that away in some way. And it's not to go, oh, that's really bad and I shouldn't feel like that, but it's just more of a curiosity. And that curiosity brings a playfulness in life. That doesn't come with judgment, that is much more freeing, that is, it's all allowed. And in that space of sort of being more curious of like, oh, look, I'm look at the feelings I'm in, that kind of curiosity and openness, it's like less of a resistance of what is. And from that it passes quicker, but also there's just so many other insights that come around that can happen from.
Absolutely. And that curiosity that you talk about, and the playfulness, again, that's so evident in children. You know, they're curious about everything. They're open to all possibilities. You know, they drive you mad asking you why 500 million times every day, but they live in that space of open curiosity.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's no contraction there.
They do, don't they, without any judgment of themselves. It's just a real curiosity. And they're learning that, because it is learned, that there's a me and there's a you. And when we're born, we don't have that idea of that creation of self. It's all learned.
No.
So lots of questions. What does that mean about me? Like, and so just as it's learned, it can be unlearned.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're doing here, is a process of unlearning. And it's so interesting because children don't have a concept of problems either.
No.
So they're not going around looking for solutions all the time. Because there's no problems to find solutions to. It's just all life.
I love that. It is. It's just it's living. I don't like the word just. It's living.
You know, and children allow room for all that living brings. None of it's a problem to a child.
No, it's just not.
Is. And that's what we're trying to get back to, is that playful curiosity. Where we just see what is, and it's not a problem or an issue. No, it can't be there all the time, because that's not human.
No, exactly. We can't. And I think that's what a lot of certainly I did, was when I got into looking more at how, you know, how the mind works, how the system works, and getting into that beautiful feeling and being more present, because presence is where creativity lies. Presence is where the insights come, right? And the feeling that came with that, that's what I thought was the holy grail. Like, that's what I needed to get. And if I wasn't there, then I beat myself up about it. Like, I've been in this conversation for X amount of time now, and I shouldn't be having these anxious feelings, but knowing that it's all up for grabs, and it always, you know, the natural flow of thought is to come and go. We don't control that. And we never can. And so to try and change the thought after the fact of it being thunk, is not where the answer lies.
No. And you know, I that's really big, because I think that's probably the biggest difference between this understanding and other forms of help or therapies or modalities.
Yeah.
Because everything else that I've worked with, and I can't speak for everything that's out there in the world, but anything else that I came across was trying to do something with the thought once it was already thunk, as you said, or it was already here, it was already present, and we're trying to do something with it then, and it's too late, it's here.
Yeah.
And trying to manipulate it or change it or manage it or direct it or reframe it or any of those things, you're just focusing in on the thought that's here. And you're blocking the flow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's why in this conversation we talk about mental health, we talk about innate well-being, we talk about resilience, because we want to point people towards all the stuff they have going for them and available to them. And by talking about that, it somehow has the effect of settling the mind so that people can get a sense of that. Whereas talking about the thought that's already here only seems to get people more worked up.
Yeah. Because it's piling on more and more and more and more and more thinking.
Yeah.
Getting more and more and more lost in the wood when we don't realize we've got a natural GPS system to get ourselves out.
No.
We don't need to, personal mind, ego doesn't need to get stuck in there and figure it out. And that's a weight off anyone's shoulders. Like, and that's where insights lie, right? It often happens, I'm sure you've had this, where it's not from, sometimes it is when you're reading a book and you're like, that really resonates with me, but it's often you're living your life and you're out in the world and you might be having a conversation or driving the car, or maybe you're just having, you know, a chat, and then something will come and be like, oh, that's what that meant. You know, it's where fresh ideas come from. It's not from doing the pros and cons lists or the sticking post-it notes around the house to try and remember the things that you were helpful for a second.
It's funny because I used to be very big on putting post-it notes all around my house. And most of them are gone now, but there's still a few hanging around that I see every once in a while. They're invisible to me most of the time, but you know, I see them every once in a while. And it's interesting because just yesterday I opened a door in the bathroom, and there was a sticky inside there, a little post-it inside there, and it said, you're looking at, it's right in front of a mirror, and it says, you're looking at the person responsible for everything that's going on in your life. And I thought, oh my God, that's got to go.
Wow.
Where did I come up with that one? Somewhere along the way, I put that on a post-it and stuck it up.
Wow.
I thought, what pressure to put on yourself.
Definitely.
Glad I don't believe that one anymore.
No. Yeah, well, how freeing is that to know that you're not in control?
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's a biggie.
So, yeah, and it is all simple. And you know, that presence that you talk about is big as well, Laura, because you know, there's lots of different places you'll hear people talking about the present moment, and you know, and living in the present moment, and that's where the magic happens. But the magic that happens in the present moment is being with your own presence and listening for the presence of your own being.
Yeah.
And when you're in the present moment and you're being present with your own essence and your own true nature, that's just a beautiful feeling.
Yeah.
And that's where the fresh thinking comes through for me anyway. You know, and the insights and things just shift and change in that space. So it's not just about saying, I'm here, I'm in this moment, I'm looking around, you know. It's about quietening down and tuning inwards.
Yeah.
And making that connection.
Yeah.
And again, not that we can stay there because we can't, but the more that we look in that direction and the more we can make that connection for ourselves, the more we start to trust it. And we know that it's there. And then suddenly something else happens. Like you were saying, you got nervous before coming on the call, but because you have that grounding and that understanding, you saw it very quickly. And it just moved off on its own then, and you came back. Whereas we can't see it if we don't know about it and don't understand it.
Exactly. And it's more that I see things as an opportunity to learn as opposed to be something to run away from. Yeah.
Because every experience has a message.
It does. It really does. And it might not be obvious there and then, but again, that's the, being present. And like, I'm not talking, like, I know that like people go, what does being present really mean? And it's, well, do I have to meditate? Do I have to, what do I have to do to get there? And it's like, it's literally as simple as like what we're doing now, right? We're there's all there is. It's just you and I having a chat, or, you've noticed an icky feeling. That icky feeling is your body's beautiful way to wake you up to the fact of what you're innocently doing, misusing thought. And that is, okay. And then maybe it's looking at the trees or out your window, or, it's being immersed in what is now. And that's as simple as it is.
Very simple.
Yeah. And that's where peace of mind lies. That's where insights lie. That's where well-being is. And that's where your wisdom is. It's not in being up in the head, in the busy thinking about the thoughts about the past, which aren't true because they're illusion. Making up what that might mean in the future, which again, we just don't know anything about.
No. And understanding the nature of thought and the link between thoughts and the feelings in our body or symptoms or anything that's going on in our body, understanding that connection. It's easier to tune in and hear the messages and be open to the possibilities. And the insights and the learning. And it's in that relaxed space that it comes through.
Yeah. And do you know what? And maybe not. Like sometimes insights happen when I'm in a really busy, crazy
that's true
mind, and I'm at work and I'm got lots on, and something will just come in. I'm like, oh, okay, that was a different thought. That was a different feeling. That's it. It's not like there's a rule that you have to have a piece.
No, it can be easier to hear if you're quieter, but it's there all the time. So it can come through any time. And in emergencies, it generally comes through as well very quickly when you need it. In an emergency situation. But even in that kind of a scenario, the trick is to just kind of settle, so you can, I find anyway, the more settled I am, the more likely I am to hear it. Like when we look in the animal world, when they're faced with some sort of a situation, they don't go dashing in and get all busy. They stop.
Exactly. And I just want to add on that as well, because I know we've been talking about thought, about being present and trying, not trying, but the beauty of dropping the personal thinking. But there is something to be said in that it's a beautiful gift that we have, that we can think the way that we do. If we didn't have that, we wouldn't have language. We wouldn't be able to communicate.
No. You wouldn't know that a door was a door or a car was a car.
Imagine great holidays up in your head and get lost in the dream of being on a beautiful beach. I am right now. And maybe it's a creative ability that we have, which can be amazing.
It's a sacred gift, absolutely.
Exactly.
And I think that's probably one of the most beautiful parts of this whole understanding is the psychological innocence, Laura. Everybody's doing the best they can based on their understanding of how the world, their experiences are created. And you and I were doing the best that we could, which was very different than what we do now before we came into this understanding. And we've seen enough people come in and leave as different people and be impacted that I think that's what makes us so passionate about it.
Yeah.
And wanting to share it. Yeah, it's just, yeah, beautiful gift of thought. When we're in psychological innocence, we use it against ourselves sometimes.
Yeah, we do.
But it's a valuable gift. Yeah.
And that comes with a feeling, and that feeling is normally off. So, yeah.
That's the feeling. Oh, that's beautiful. Let me see, we have a couple of people. We have hello, Rosie, and hello, Louisa. A couple of people with us joining. So it's lovely to see you guys. So yeah, Laura, I think we might leave it there. That kind of brings it back full circle to the beautiful feeling, and invite everybody to keep looking for the possibility of those deeper feelings in yourself. Yeah. And we'll see you tomorrow for day 28. So love to all.
All right.
See you all soon. Take care, Laura. Have a lovely weekend.
And
enjoy the toy show tonight, everybody. Take care.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.